Gentlemen, I have dug up the transfer rumor to end all transfer rumors. No surprise, it comes from our good friends in Spain, Don Balon. They are linking Real Madrid to none other than the 17-year-old American Giovanni Reyna. Supposedly, Florentino Perez himself, the president himself, has targeted Reyna for a down-the-road acquisition, as they're also obviously looking at Erling Haaland. They're going to raid the whole Dortmund team. All right, Mao and Herc, we have coincided in a different space, Nación ESPN, where there was a game, Posible o Imposible. Herc, I'll start with you. Reyna to Real Madrid, Posible o Imposible, and why?
Well, it's not impossible. He's 17 years old. He's got huge upside. I don't think his price tag would command nearly that of a Christian Pulisic to Chelsea, which was over $70 million. So, yeah, it is possible. But we need to pump the brakes. Pump the brakes for a second. Don Balon, okay? And it was a snippet right there where they're talking about Erling Haaland and what can possibly happen with Florentino Perez and his acquisition of said player. And then, oh, by the way, they're also looking at Gio Reyna. Gio Reyna has a handful of games right now in top flight. He is very good. There's nobody more on this Gio Reyna hype train than me. I am all for it. But he needs to develop before we start thinking about Real Madrid. Settle down for a second. This isn't how it works.
Okay, un posible light. I think that was a posible light right there. Mao, what do you think?
Right now is impossible. I want to congratulate Gio Reyna's agent just for putting that out there. That's the way it works in this business. I don't see it right now. You know who Gio Reyna reminds me of? Gio dos Santos. I think the hype around Gio Reyna is the same hype we had around Gio dos Santos 14 years ago. And we all know what happened with that. I don't believe the hype. I don't see it yet. He has yet to start a major game for Borussia Dortmund. He was going to do it until he got injured during warm-ups against Schalke. I think he's a great talent, but the one thing that Herculez said that was actually accurate was pump the brakes. Yes, we all have to pump the brakes when we talk about Gio Reyna. He hasn't proved anything yet. He hasn't done anything.
You're right. If you are right and he hasn't proved anything, we just did a best 11 between the U.S. and Mexico, and you put him on there as your sub.
On my bench.
Yeah. But he hasn't done anything.
Yeah,
you put him on there over players like who?
I stick to that. But if you want to go from having him on the bench in my starting 11 to a move to Real Madrid,
and I said pump the brakes. So what are you
There's
arguing?
a big gap there, my friend.
What are you arguing? I said pump the brakes. What are you arguing? But he's 17
I'm
years
saying
old.
that you are part of you're the president of the fan club of Gio Reyna, and I'm telling you,
And he told
there's
you
not
to
even a
pump the
fan
brakes.
club yet.
And the president told you to pump the brakes.
Well,
difference
stick
between
to that. Right now it's impossible because Herc said posible with some limitations, with some hesitations. Right now it's impossible. I don't see how Gio Reyna right now at 16, 17 years old fits in what Real Madrid is planning for the future. There's simply no place for him there.
It's one thing to pump the brakes, okay? It's another thing to compare him to Gio dos Santos.
Yeah.
That's blasphemy. How? Gio dos Santos at 16 years old was coming up through the academy, and he's being compared to Ronaldinho.
And he was a world champion, by the way.
That's not happening. That's exactly. Thank you. That's not the case for Gio Reyna at all. Different circumstances. And by the way, he's already playing Champions League minutes, and he's getting a lot of credit from his coach and from other players around this Champions League.
That means
He's
nothing.
a talent.
That means nothing.
But what are you arguing then? What are you arguing? You're arguing in my favor, and you don't understand it.
My point is, you're telling the audience that Gio Reyna is going to become this fantastic soccer player who's going to change the landscape of American soccer forever.
Is that what you heard?
Yes, that's what you keep saying. Am I wrong, Seba? Am I wrong
First
here?
it was Don Balon putting him to Real Madrid. Second, it was Herc. Okay.
Exactly.
Why do I waste my time with these clowns? Unbelievable.
Wow, you should have asked yourself that a long time ago. Let me ask you this. We have had what? Pulisic to Chelsea, Tim Howard to Manchester United. Maybe you even throw like Dempsey to Spurs in its moment in there.
Sure.
In that ranking, what would Reyna to Real Madrid be?
Listen, I don't want to discount the 70.
It's number one. Say it. It's not even a question.
Do you want to answer the question?
Yes. Because I don't know why. I don't understand why
two.
it takes you so long to give the right answer. Number one, if one of your players goes to the most important club in the world, it has to be the number one. Gio Reyna will be number one. Easy, Seba. Easy.
You can argue with us all day, but I don't think you can argue that, right? Biggest signing in American history by far.
Well, what's a signing entail? I mean, what are we talking about here? One guy went for $75 million in a transfer fee.
Real Madrid is not Chelsea. It's a different level, right?
That's fine. That's fine. But you still have to take into context the situation. Yes,
This
it's
breaks
a
my
huge
heart,
signing.
by the way.
Huge signing. But what are we talking about here? I feel like I'm
Eric,
dealing with kids, with idiots. You don't understand
You just broke
this.
my heart.
How did I break your heart?
You said $75 million to Chelsea. So for you, the amount of the transfer is more important than the destination.
That entails the signing.
You being a
What do
former
you not
soccer player,
understand
that
about
breaks my heart. There's the biggest honor in this business.
What's a bigger
is
signing?
being transferred to Real Madrid, not being transferred for $75 million. And you being a former player, that breaks my heart.
That breaks my heart. Let me ask you a question.
I'm heartbroken.
Okay, $5 million transfer to Real Madrid, $100 million transfer to Chelsea. Which is bigger?
Real Madrid. Real Madrid is the club, not the money. Not the money. Not the money. What's wrong with you?
In the segment.
What's wrong with you? You played the sport. You played the sport.
Herc, you will acknowledge that biggest signing is not just down to money. You know that. You'll acknowledge that.
There is context to this. What don't you understand? The biggest signing.
It would be the biggest impact ever to have an American player at Real Madrid.
$80 million to go to play with China, $5 million to go play for Real Madrid.
Herc, it's fine. Which American signing is bigger?
Which American? It's same thing. What don't you understand? If you're asking who goes to the bigger team, it's evident. It's Real Madrid. Who has the biggest signing? $75 million to $5 million. What don't you understand about that?
Mauricio's face.
71, 72.
Say it all.
Hey, Sebi, there's a reason why this guy moved to 15 different teams in his career. There's a reason why.
Yeah, for that transfer fee.
There's a reason why.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.